welcome to Too Late to Cancel. Once again, it's Friday. No, wait a minute, it's Sunday. Jesus Christ, time passes. Welcome. It's so good to see you. That's why it was easier when it was on Oxy Sunday. I knew what fucking day it was. But here we are. So good to see you guys. Welcome back as the crowd oh my gosh, guys are really here. Look at the number. Hello. Look at all the cool people here. I love this job. I can't believe we don't get paid for this. Anyway, so good to see you guys here. It is an exciting Sunday. It is May the 4th. And may the 4th be with you. If you know, you can see we changed the art up a little bit. Look at that. Like Rogue One, X-Wing. That's what I do. I'm a geek. I don't know if you guys know. I actually did an ad with Mark Hamill during Lincoln Project. Maybe we could dig it up at the end. It was really good. But I'll tell that story at the end. Maybe that's what I'll do. I'll tell the story. I will tell my Star Wars story at the end of the show. But in the meantime, there's so much going on in the world. I don't want to waste any time. Let's get our youth correspondent on the line.
Hello. What is going on, Fred?
Oh, Kyler, what's going on with your room, man? It's like empty. What happened back there? Did you get robbed?
No, I did not, Fred. It's the last week of school, man. I am ready to go home. Me and all the other college students out there in the world, it's the last week of school, maybe the second last for somebody else if you don't go to school. I'm ready to go home, man.
I bet. Get your butt back home again. Get to work. You got a job lined up? You're just going to screw off all summer like normal?
No, I do have a job. Unfortunately, I will have to make money. Look, Fred, I'm sitting in a broken chair right here. This chair doesn't even work. I need to afford a chair. I need to work this summer. So unfortunately,
that's classy. We'll try to get you some money. We'll send you some. Maybe our fans will kick like a GoFundMe. Kyler's chair. You know, Kyler, you've got a great Star Wars name. I mean, Kyler Messenger. It sounds like a bounty hunter, man. I mean, I don't know if your dad was a fan. Your parents were Star Wars fans or not. I don't know.
Yeah, my dad 100% got me into Star Wars growing up. I think
that I like him.
Even though Kylo Ren came after I was born, right? Kylo Ren is one of those newer characters in the Star Wars. So I feel like I kind of resemble him. If that was my Star Wars character, I would be Kylo Ren. Fred, who would your Star Wars character be?
Oh, God, that's a great question. I hadn't thought about that. Obviously, I'm a big Luke Skywalker fan, of course, but I'm kind of thinking of Mandalorian of some kind, just wandering around, just cruising. I mean, it'd be very cool. Plus, badass armor. Although I would take my helmet off because I get very claustrophobic. Hey, have you seen something that the thing I love about Star Wars, Kyler, maybe you'll appreciate it too, is the art. Like, JJ, we got some of my favorite like Star Wars art, don't we? Oh, well, look at this. I mean, isn't that badass? It's like, these people get the Empire propaganda of how an evil empire should look when you're like, look at the next one. I mean, this is so cool. I mean, it's right out of like Soviet Union or Hitler, Germany, right, Kyler? I mean, you studied history.
Like political cartoons that I was getting taught in U.S. history back in the 7th grade, right? They were teaching us about political cartoons. I feel like that's what I'm looking at again with this Star Wars art.
I know. Look, it's like they're really getting. Like, look at them leading into this. I mean, that's really. Wait a minute, that's a real one. That's actually from the
real
DoD. Oh my God, that's real. That is real, Kyler. That is the United States Department of Defense. That is the DoD's official DoD response. What do you think of that? Look, Dogecoin. Come on, the youth love the Doge thing, right?
I mean, yeah, honestly, they do. Fred, personally, I don't, but the youth does love the Dogecoin, and you can tell this is made with AI. I think it's pretty solid. Honestly, there's been a lot of AI use recently in especially schools, Fred. As a college student, this AI use is immense. It is going crazy right now, and it's honestly kind of shocking to see that outside of the education world, the AI use is also going up. I mean, the Department of Defense is using it for a political cartoon.
But it looks like. I mean, look at the next one though. This is the one we were laughing about earlier. That's the actual president of the United fucking States posted that.
Like what? Like what? This is something that me and my friends are making in the back of class while we're not paying attention what the professor talks to. We're on ChatGPT 4.0 and we're making the funniest images we can ever make up. There's no way the president of the United States posted this. I cannot believe that I woke up one morning on Twitter or X and I was like, yo, what?
Yeah, that shit's real. That shit's real, man. You can't make this up. That is what's happening in our argument right now. It's funny. A friend of mine's a professor, and there was a chat going on social media today talking about how they've actually stopped giving like essays for you guys to do at home because so many students are using AI. So now all of their essays are in class written essays, so that the students can't use AI. So it has really infested your world, hasn't it?
I'll tell you what, Fred. Thank God I don't have that professor. But anyway, it is crazy the AI world, Fred. I'm sure. I know you went to Harvard, and I know that was way back when. So I don't even want to.
We got it in. Well done, Kyler. Well,
You're welcome.
Every week.
Hey, look, Fred, I don't know what it was
Got
like
it in
back
early,
then.
Kyler. Thanks, man. I
You're
appreciate
welcome.
that.
I got you.
Garrett, go on. You were saying.
Well, first off, you said that you went to Harvard. I skipped the first grade, so now you have to throw that in.
Ah, wow. You are an overachiever. You're one of those. That does actually make a lot of sense.
Anyway, Fred, look, I don't know how it was back, 30 years ago.
Sound effects.
All of our finals are online. I'm in finals week here. You see all my stuff out of my dorm room. I don't have anywhere to go. I don't have to go to classes. All my finals are online.
Oh my goodness, that's great. That's nice. You gotta love that.
It's nice.
And then you go home. So I mean, I tell you. So what else is going on in the world, man? I understand some very big issues you guys have been wrestling with nature and fighting. Is that true?
Yeah, Fred. Look, there's a ton going on in the world. We talked about AI. We talked about today being May the 4th, but the youth is buzzing recently, Fred. The youth is always buzzing on social media. As you know, the highest social media rate is Gen Z, my generation. But everybody's talking about who would win in a fight, 100 humans versus one gorilla. This is probably the biggest debate since LeBron versus Michael Jordan. This debate has been sparking controversy everywhere. Fred, have you seen the debate?
I have not. I'm kind of glad I haven't, to be honest with you. It's one of those things that some things go over with me in my head. So I guess there's one way to avoid it. What is the crux of the argument, my friend?
Dude, there are so many variables. It depends. Are we talking 100 average sized humans? Or are we talking 100 Donald Trumps versus a gorilla? Because it really depends. You're right. If we got 100 Donald Trumps, big burly men, we'll say strong men, can they take this gorilla down? I don't think so.
With tears in their eyes, right?
I mean, I think the gorilla's winning 10 out of 10 times.
I think so too, as a matter of fact. And it kind of does remind me of this last piece of propaganda that JJ was holding for us. JJ, show us that last art. I think this is the most accurate use of AI I've seen in recent times, right, JJ? So it's a little subtle. It's a little subtle, don't you think, Kyler?
Yeah, I mean,
so what's next? When do you ship out, my friend? Will we be able to hunt you down next week, or have to look for you somewhere else next week?
Next week, I will not be in this room, Fred. You will no longer see me in this room. Okay. I will be back home in St. Louis.
Okay.
So St. Louis City, welcome me back home, man.
There you go. And it's Mother's Day next week, you guys.
It is.
So we got to talk about that right now. Kyler, do you have any? I don't think your mom's watching. I hope she's not watching. But do you have any big plans for Mother's Day? Because if you don't, young man, we're going to talk. So what are the plans for Mother's Day?
My mom's definitely watching. Shout out, Mom, and shout out all mothers on Mother's Day. Yeah, I'm not sure exactly what we're doing yet. We definitely got to get outside, though. Maybe go to a park. Maybe see some birds. I don't know. I've never gone bird watching. I'm not.
All right. That's a big thing for my generation. You should definitely do that. We are really. It's a rite of passage. You read a certain age, like the 50s. You're really into birds for some reason. I've got a bird buddy and a bird fi, like the camera feeders. It's very strange to tell the secret out loud, but here we are. Anyway, I recommend I'll send you a link and you can hook mom and dad up. They'll be loving that stuff. So I know you got a lot to do, so I'll let you go. Man, thanks for joining us this week. Safe travels home, my friend. And thanks for keeping us up to date on the youth.
Thank you, Fred.
See you soon. So important to stay in touch with the youth. I feel very strongly about that. As you can always find Kyler on the Hot 5 podcast. That's the Hot 5 podcast. He's a great young American, and he's got a very cool Star Wars name, Kyler Messenger. Back to as the show knows, we kind of go between some real stuff and some not real stuff, but we're back to like the more important stuff. And this week, we really have. It's the 100-day mark, along with May the 4th. This is the 100-day mark of the second 100-day mark of the Trump administration. This is it's been a weird week, as a lot of folks have discussed. We couldn't even decide which was 100 days. It was Tuesday or Wednesday. But I did want to kind of talk about some of the special areas that have really getting hit pretty hard in this first Trump administration. We have two great guest interviews today to talk about that, along with an amazing panel, by the way. If you haven't heard, Steve Hofstetter and Jarrett Bernstein are terrific comedians touring together right now, joining us on a Sunday morning. If you know how hard it is to get a touring comedian to join your show while they're on tour, it's really hard. But Steve and Jarrett kind enough to join us. So if you didn't hear, you gotta stay for the whole show, because it's an amazing show. Needless to say, not just because it's May the 4th. And before I forget, JJ has the rights to send me, has electric shock in my chair. If I don't say, we would love you to subscribe to our YouTube channel and watch our YouTube channel so we can get some algorithm love over there. A lot of you folks watch us on Twitter. I love seeing you. I love seeing you on LinkedIn and on Facebook, all the cool places. And of course, our incredible Substack fan, which is growing like like weed right now. So if you're not following us on Substack, subscribe. And I'd love you to subscribe to Substack. Look at that size of people on Substack. But definitely hit our YouTube channel. And now I want to shift over to a more kind of a serious conversation, but not really. Dr. Anita Du is the founder and chair of Healthcare for Action and an actual vascular surgeon. And they're really focused on the challenge we have for our healthcare system, and not just now under Donald Trump, but in the entire system itself, and how the United States pays so much for our healthcare and not necessarily the best results. So I'm excited to welcome Dr. Anita Du to the show. Anita, let's bring her on. Man, Dr. Du, welcome to the show. It's so glad to have you join us. I know you're in between flights, so thanks for taking time for us.
Oh, it's absolutely my pleasure. Thank you very much for having me.
Man, quite a time to be a physician, isn't it?
It is?
Good Lord. I mean, what is going on? I mean, I don't think I've ever seen a moment like that. I mean, we say a lot happened in modern history, but I just can't think of a time in American history where we've seen such an all-out assault on science and healthcare in such a strange way by our government. I mean, have you been shocked by all this, or knowing what was coming, are you surprised by all of it?
You know, to be honest with you, I'm not too surprised. And I'll tell you why. It's actually not about the Trump administration at all, to be honest. It's about the people really being pissed off. So I'm a vascular surgeon, as you talked about earlier.
Right.
Well, vascular surgery, essentially, you know, we take care of blood vessels, but our patient population is older. Okay. So dealing with a lot of people over the age of 50. And, you know, it's interesting. And this is like a fact that in America today, this is America, I'm not talking about the world, America today, there are children that are born that have a lower life expectancy prediction than their parents. And this has nothing to do with Trump or Biden or nothing. This is just what's been going on in the richest country in the world. So, and we know, like even you, if you got off this phone call and you tried to call your primary care doctor, the chances of you getting a human on the phone are really low. They're probably going to give you an appointment like 9 months from now, if it's even going to be. I mean, it's just people are forced to go back to the ER. So there's this like this ruckus that's happening. Yeah. Providers are angry, patients are angry, payers are angry. You know, we know like there's certain aspects in like Medicaid and Medicare that are just draining from a money standpoint the system, because chronic disease is a major issue. So I set the stage to say it was already kind of a bomb. Right. And the people are demanding, and I'm one of those people, demanding that change is made to American healthcare. Because for the amount of money that, I mean, we spend more money on American healthcare than like the top 20 countries combined, yet we are like very low for life expectancy, outcomes, all these other things that are, and these are facts, you know, that are, everyone agrees, Republicans, Democrats, everyone agrees. So if that's where we're starting, we know something needs to be done. So now you get a new administration that ran on the idea of, we're going to make a change. What they never said was, what is that change going to be? That change is still a change. And so what we're seeing, I think, in my opinion, is an attempt to rectify. I don't think that the intentions are negative, though intentions are not obviously not going to make things good or bad. Like you can have great intentions and completely destroy something. Right. And I think that they really want to make things better, but they have no idea what they're doing. And they're refusing to talk to the people that can come in and help. And that's partially the fault of, obviously, the administration, but also the part on our part, the Democrats. I'm a Democrat. And like, I don't want the hate aspect to be there anymore. I want them to come to me and say, if RFK was listening right now, I'd want him to pick up the phone, FaceTime me so I know it's you. And
you'd recognize the voice. You'd recognize the voice.
To be honest with you, that would be half my patients as well. So I wouldn't be 100% including my husband also.
That's a good point. All right. Fair point taken.
You know, I'd want to come out there and be like, let me help you. Because you know what, dude, what are we going to do? Like Bill Maher says it best. What are we going to do? They have every single branch of government and the Supreme Court. So we're going to sit here and be outraged and kind of talk amongst ourselves. Or we say, look, for example, what's happening with the NIH, that is, I don't know if I can swear on this podcast, so I won't.
Oh, yeah. That's a thing here, yeah. Don't worry about that. I was in the Army for 22 years. If you don't swear, you're going to be left out. It is a mess. And I mean, that's what I was thinking the whole time is like disbanding the National Cancer Institute's entire board of scientific advisors. And I don't know where that either saves money or improves science in any way. I'm baffled by these decisions.
This is demolition 101. So basically, you remember Trump's a builder, right? So when he gets a piece of land, what's the plan? First thing you do is you go and demolish everything on that land, and then you rebuild what you believe is right.
That's
that's,
actually
I
the
think,
first time I've had that analogy on the show, but you're
no,
right. You got to
that's
let.
the problem.
That's an interesting point.
And
That's actually an interesting point.
the problem with that, the major problem with that, is that it's not a building. It's a bunch of human beings that are coming together to try to make things better. Like, so I'll give you an example, right? Right now, cancer is doing pretty good in this country, in the sense that patients with cancer these days are able to live great lives. We have a lot of data. We do have registries about it. We've done it right. Why have we done it
Right.
right? Well, because in 1971, Nixon, of all people, Nixon said, I don't like this cancer thing. I'm going to put a shit ton of money into the NIH and make cancer their moonshot project. You guys go and solve this problem. And then he hands up in the air, he walked away for other reasons too, as we know, but he walks away and they continued. And what they did at the NIH in the 70s, 80s, 90s now feed into the medications and the thinking and the protocols that we use for our patients today, which is why science has really blown up in the cancer realm, and those patients are doing great. But we have other disease processes, for example, peripheral artery disease, vascular disease. In this country, number one killer is cardiovascular disease. Cancer is right up there, but it's actually cardiovascular disease, trauma, and cancer. And in the cardiovascular space, we have an amputation epidemic, for example, because no money has really been put into that particular thing. Diabetes is on the rise. And so when RFK says we got a chronic disease problem, I agree with him. If he, and then, they put, I think, what is it, like $500 million or something they're putting into this Make America Healthy Again thing, But again, the execution of it is a little jacked. Right. You're not going to make America healthy by talking to tribal leaders about school lunch. Like, what are you talking about? You need to be sitting in your office and be like, what are the problems that we are fixing? Because if you jump right to treatment, like if you came to me today and you said, hey, my leg hurts, and I was like, let's chop it off. Well, you know what? It will solve your pain because I would have chopped your leg off, but I would have done no diagnostics on you, and maybe you just had a hangnail. So chop, and once I chop your leg off, I can't put it back on again. And so that's the big message to these guys. The reason I had started out this conversation with, I don't think the intentions are purely like jacked, is because, one of the things that Trump did do early on was this whole like healthcare price transparency. So it's like in February, I think he signed an executive order where he was like, we don't, like, if you go to Stanford and then you go to Kaiser, like they're next to each other, right, in California, you have no idea what the blood test at Stanford costs compared to the blood test at Kaiser. Like you as a patient, the consumer. Nobody really knows. It's like blanketed and layered.
I was gonna say,
not a clue. So these guys were like, we need to do this price transparency because in the long run, it will save millions of dollars. And there's truth to that if, again, executed correctly. He expanded, he said he was expanding IVF accessibility. No plan, but like in theory would like to do it. So those are like good things. But then you look at the NIH cuts, 50% cuts on the budget, which is psycho because the budget for the NIH, for example, has not changed since Obama's time. But everything costs more. Reagents cost more, space costs more, rent costs more. But we've not changed the budget. And so what that means is we were already working at a very low, rate because we don't have enough money. Now, if you cut the budget 50% more, you really have to lose stuff, which is important. And the greatest way that that that's a place that you need to be investing is look at China. China is investing millions and millions of dollars in their research. And there's a reason for that. And that's because that's where the new war is. We're not going to go on a battlefield and shoot each other, right? It's going to be in economics. It's going to be in science, right? And it's going to be in technology. And if we kill the science arm, we immediately lose the battle because if you don't have a healthy population, you can't do any of the other things. So I think at this point, something with the NIH, for example, I'll give you an example. If he wanted to fix it and he had talked to us, the NIH researchers, I have an NIH grant, I would have said, hey, you know what you need to do? Don't leave the money. What you need to do is you need to make an effort to get young investigators more involved in the process of deciphering which grants should be funded. You need to bring them into the research. Basically there's a solution to this problem. The problem that you're specifically talking about. And his problem was that, our priorities are all messed up. Okay, maybe that might be true. I actually don't know. You don't know. He doesn't know. Nobody knows because we never studied it. The priority should align with what is necessary in the United States today. And he's globally correct because we are the sickest population for the amount of money that we spend on it. So something does need to be done, but it's probably not a just demolition situation. And that's the nuance that for whatever reason, this particular administration isn't really into.
No, they don't do nuance. They do break things. And now thousands of grants are being broken, to being dismissed, and I worry, I'm a national security guy in my real life. I'm a veteran. So I think a lot of national security issues. I work in that world and for veterans and all. But for me, what scares me is when you do this kind of demolition, the damage isn't just today, right? It's not your colleagues who lose. I mean, it's bad. They lose their grants, people who lose jobs, but we're going to lose research possibly cannot bring back.
Right.
For decades, right? I mean, these these snap decisions in 100 days, we're going to pay a price for many, many years, aren't we?
Exactly right. I mean, not only in the scientific space, but also in the medical space. Absolutely.
Right.
Because the effects that are going to be had on the population today. I mean, I just gave you that Nixon example. I mean, like I said, that was 1971.
Right.
The benefits are today in 2025.
50 years ago. Yeah.
So exactly. And actually that's on average, like, the mRNA vaccine situation, all that stuff. The science for that was actually done by a lady 40 years ago. And it played into what happened of course, everybody knows that. Louis Pasteur, who figured out, hey, don't drink that milk straight up. That guy, that's from
and now we're ignoring him too.
Good point. Or like germ theory. I mean, and the kind of the harshness against elite scientists, the educated.
Right.
That's a pretty common playbook move for some of the negative stuff that's happened historically, as we know, because usually those are the people that want nuance. But again, I'll come back and also say though that I take blame. Like, I think on the Democrat side, we have to take some blame for making a little mistake, which was allowing politics, which is our fault, allowing politics to creep into a space that has zero political connection, and that is science. It doesn't matter what you feel socially about something. I'll give you an example, like a ridiculous example, but I'm just going to give you an example. Like pedophilia, okay? Pedophilia is bad. Is it possible that there is some scientific issue where a person is born a particular way and the brain behaves, and there is something that can be done, to fix it? Yes, of course it's possible. But do we accept that this is a bad thing? Yes, we do. And we just have to come down socially that it is a bad thing. But if there was science where we could make a medicine, again, this is a completely abstract, ridiculous example, but let's say there was a medicine that could be made where we could give it to people and they would be cured of this affliction.
Yeah.
Right? That's something that should happen. Right? Versus what's the alternative? Are you going to give everyone the death penalty? You can't even find people like that, right? So we're waiting for these outcomes that'll never be. So, I mean, I use that as a ridiculous example, but actually that is what is happening again and again in our world. We're allowing our social feelings and about what we believe is right to creep into our scientific thinking. And that is a problem. Not on either side, on the Republican side, and that you can't let religion creep in. You can't let your social feelings creep in. It needs to just be, what is the science? And in order for that to happen, the scientists and the medical community need to be left alone. We're not part of this argument. Leave us alone. Give us the funding to study what needs to be studied. And as the government, yes, you absolutely can direct us. You can say, hey, we've done the research, and guess what? In this day and age today, actually, gun-related deaths are the number one cause of pediatric death in this country. It's taken over from cancer. No. Good. So the government says that to me as the scientist. I say, okay, I'm going to go and study this disease process and come back to you with a list of things that need to be done. And then you go and execute it as the government. That's how the relationship is supposed to work. Husband and wife, back and forth, communication. Right now, what's happened is the sides aren't talking to each other. The government is perceiving the scientists as leftist psychos. Yeah. And the scientist world are perceiving the government as right-wing nuts. And we're all going to lose under this sort of thinking. So what needs to happen, the solution is we on the science side need to say, hey, open your doors to us. Let us come in. Let's sit down. You want to make America healthy again? Dude, put my name down. I'm happy to help you. I'll right at the top. okay, in italics and bold. But then let me guide you based on my understanding of the science
Actual science.
as to what needs to be done and what it will take to do it. And then you tell me why it's bad or good, and we go back and forth, and then we go to Congress and we ask them for the money, and then we go to the Senate, and then we get it done, and we all die, but our future generations, 100 years from now, benefit from what we did today. That's the solution.
And so before I let you go, let's talk about that. You got Healthcare for Action is a PAC. You stepped out of your vascular surgeon job to do a PAC. God bless you for that, because I've done PACs. And that's one of your goals, right? Your goal is to elect healthcare workers, right? To get the voice of healthcare professionals into Congress. And you've had some success. You had I think you had 4 wins last cycle.
Yes.
I imagine you're gearing up for this cycle. Is that how you see it going? Is look, we've got to get more scientists, we've got to get more healthcare professionals to take that step and go into politics, don't they?
Exactly. And it's not just any healthcare professional. I mean, we've all had good doctors and bad doctors. Everyone knows that. All specialties are positive and negative. So it's not just like, oh, you're a doctor, you're great. Not at all. Actually, what the idea was, let's say, God forbid, but let's say that you're in the ICU tomorrow, okay? And I walk in there as your surgeon, and I'm having a conversation with the infectious disease guy. And the infectious disease guy has very different political ideology to me, and also has very different treatment plans. Let's say he wants to keep you on antibiotics. I want to take you for surgery. And we're fighting about it. Well, guess what? We don't stand over your body as you die and yell at each other until you code on the table. We say, crap, we couldn't figure it out. What we actually do is we walk outside of the room and I say, I know, away from your family. And so we're just going to talk and we have a conversation. And I say, look, give me 60%. Give me 60%. Let me take him for surgery in a day. You give him antibiotics for today. And you give him 3 doses. And then by tomorrow, we'll be in this position. We go back and forth until we figure it out. And then we walk into your room and we do the best thing for you, regardless of what we want to do. And so that sort of thinking is how we were all bred and how we're all raised to believe. So I can very much, let's say, you and I are in Congress together and you have very staunch views on LGBTQ rights. And you're like, no, I think it should be eliminated. And I'm like, no, I'm for it. But we're talking about building a road in Arkansas. Well, guess what? I can have that conversation with you. And I can have it intelligently, and we can move ahead of it. And even if you have a differing view than me, we can sit down, we can eat together, and maybe I can change your mind. That's the way it should be done, right? And I learn from you, you learn from me. That's the whole idea of getting healthcare workers in office, because we have that capacity, and we want to get those types of people, because otherwise, this is the situation we're going to remain in for the next 30 years. We have to make a change. Yep. And so I think, some of the stuff that they want to do, I think in intentions, I'm cool with. I would love for them to reach out to people like us who are ready to sit down and say, let us help you be successful. Because, if they can show childhood obesity rates dropped, 50% in the next 10 years, no one is going to be happier than me. And that's going to reduce costs. That's going to reduce deaths. That's going to make people happier. It's going to make our country healthier. And those children that may otherwise be, dead of diabetes when they turn 50 may live to 100 and discover the cure for AIDS. That's the sort of society I want to live in. And I want to be a part of helping this administration, for all the terrible things that they're doing, help them get back on track, help reduce some of that cost, but do it in the right way, surgically, not with this machete nonsense that's going on that we are all going to feel repercussions, including that group, by the way, for the next 100 years.
That's a perfect place to wind up. I love it. Thank you so much. Yeah, we're back. Dr. Joe had to run off, catch a plane. So we get our time. It was great talking to her. We'll have to have her back. She was high energy and smart. It is. We face a very dire circumstance as far as our healthcare goes, and everything we go. And so we face this moment of 100 days into this thing, and you have to kind of take a moment to laugh at some of the crazy shit too. We saw you the propaganda. So as always, we bring the first panel of folks together. I've been dying to get them on. These gentlemen, both of them. I just saw them last week in St. Louis. Steve Hoster, of course, is a touring comedian, cable star, now a Substack author, as well as Jarrett Berenstein, who's a writer, comedian, producer, also a Substack author, and currently wandering the country with Steve. We're so glad to have him for the panel. Let's welcome our panel, Steve and Jarrett.
Hello.
Oh, there you go. There's the transition. We got to do it. You got to have the fancy transition. This is some high-end shit, fellas. You don't understand.
Very impressive production
Thank
value.
You. Well, we've invested.
In a hotel room.
We've really invested a lot of money in the production value. It's a lie. No, zero. It's just all free. It's so good to have you guys. Man, thanks for taking time. Are you guys home right now? Are you still on the road? Where are you?
We are in Eugene, Oregon. We're about to go to Portland for a show tonight. We had a show here in Eugene last night. I'm not going to be home for another 6 weeks.
Oh my God. Okay.
Yeah,
That's
I
great.
get to go home in 4 days. Very excited about it.
Well, you're quitting? Is that it? You just gave up?
Yeah,
on
no
me on
more
this
comedy
asshole?
for me. I told Steve last night. I said I've had it up to here, motherfucker.
Okay, I can tell what. Check out, you guys. I found a picture of you, Jarrett, from the start of the tour. Look, show that picture, JJ. How much Jarrett's changed just on this tour. I mean, look at that.
Yeah, I was so young back then.
I can see why.
I think it's really generous of you to assume that Jarrett was the one who made that decision and not
I'm an optimist. I know it's strange that I'm like that still, but for reasons I can't explain, I'm still an
Yeah,
optimist.
the conversation went something like, for me? Fuck you, I quit.
Yeah.
I've done that a few times. Oh yeah, you can't fire me. I've been there a couple of times actually. That's kind of my political career as a political, candidate, campaign helper. That's how it goes with those lives. Well, you guys have had a lot of exciting times going on. You just had an emergency at one of your shows, didn't you, Steve? I was reading your, you did a whole post about like somebody like almost died in the middle of your set. That's got to be hard to deal with.
Yeah. In Denver, there was a guy who had a blood pressure issue, which is a little bit of an insult to my comedy. But
right.
It was the guy, he's doing well now, thankfully, but for almost 12 minutes we didn't know if he was going to make it. It was terrifying, but the crowd, the thing that I have often said is I am proudest in my career of who my fans are. And the fact that no one made it about them, no one got in the way. A couple of doctors came out because I have an educated crowd also.
Right. Take a picture.
So a couple of people who believed in science were there. And thankfully saved the guy, and we got 911 there because we were in Colorado. There is still some funding for emergency services, and the guy was okay.
I love it. And back to comedy again. I mean, that's the thing. You guys got to effortlessly go back to like your day job or your night job in your case, I suppose.
Yeah.
Okay, no, it's like not be funny. Go be funny. I mean, it's got to be a weird transition to I got gearbox back into, but you probably gotten good at it with all the, because you always do the heckler stuff. You're famous or infamous depending on the target of your heckler work. So I guess you're kind of used to having to shift back into bit mode, aren't you?
Well, this was definitely a different type of shift. But it was something where, we kind of started shifting back toward it slowly. And then someone yelled out that it's okay where, we can laugh again. And I was like, I know I'm slow playing, asshole. Like I know what this is.
I'm a professional.
Yeah, this is the first time that Steve got heckled by the angel of death.
Yeah. Like, oh, you called that a scythe?
Yeah, we got something for you, my friend. There's your God jokes. That's what you get for all those God jokes,
I love your black robes. Do they make them for men?
I was wondering. One of my favorite things to do with you guys is that when I have comedians on the show, I like to look at your LinkedIn. And because how do you write? Like, oh, I'm and Jarrett, you're obviously your writer is your main LinkedIn focus and everything else, but and you've done voter turnout work too, didn't you? You've done a lot of voter work, haven't you, Jarrett?
Yeah, ever since Trump won in 2016, I've been kind of focused on as much activism in my comedy as I possibly can. So I have volunteered with Vote Save America and Run for Something. I put together a voter registration drive / stand-up show before the 2020 election that we were planning on running from like January 2020 all the way until the election. But then something happened in March of 2020. I don't remember exactly what it was, but then we had to cancel all the shows that were happening after that. But yeah, I'm sure we were able to register a handful of voters. We raised some great money for Swing Left and for there's another group that was helping people get IDs in states that had voter ID laws. But yeah, again, March 2020, who can even fucking remember,
Right. I know it's been a weird ride. That's about to actually met my fiance where I'm living now. So that's kind of easy for me. And then, everything collapsed. My company went, and I ended up in politics and here we are. And, Steve, it's funny seeing you. I love seeing you guys in St. Louis. Thanks so much for what a great show it was. And do you ever have like trepidation when you go to a place like St. Louis, like a red, do you walk in thinking, all right, this is we may have some spiciness in the crowd or not. Do you ever have that trepidation when you're going to things like more, because you don't hide your politics, neither of you do. You're very proud of where you stand. I mean, your audience knows that too.
Well, but that's also the thing. The audience knows that, and that's who I'm
Right.
selling tickets to. Like even even the most right-wing states are still 30% blue. And all I need is, in a place like St. Louis, I need a couple hundred people who agree with me, and you certainly have that in the city.
Oh, yeah.
And even though I guess we were kind of in the suburbs, but still,
You
and so and St. Louis wouldn't be a place that I'd have trepidation. A few days earlier, we were in Winchester, Kentucky, which
Yes.
is a small town outside of Lexington, Kentucky. Like
Yeah.
that's something where there are horse statues there where they're just worship horses. Like that's pretty much what that town is. And
Yeah.
but all we needed was our crowd, and that was enough. And I do understand that because of that, sometimes on live shows we preach to the choir a bit, but
Yeah.
it also gives that choir the ability to take that information, go home and talk to people with it. And that's the goal.
It's
Yeah.
important also that people recognize that they're not alone. One of the reasons why I even got into politics was because I started watching The Daily Show, and Jon Stewart was saying the things that I was like, I think that this is what's going on. And I was like, okay, I'm not crazy then. So you get
Yeah.
all these people in the room with you who are also laughing at these jokes. You got the stand-up comedians telling you the things that you are thinking are actually going on. You're like, okay, not only am I not crazy, but there are a lot of people here that agree with me.
Yeah, and we delivered funny. That's why even this show. I mean, this show started off. My vision originally was a very serious Sunday show, right? Okay, hey, we're gonna do a Substack / YouTube Sunday show to take on the networks. And then we realized just how fucking ludicrous it all was, right? And I was like, well, I also want to talk to comedians, and I was like, you know what? Let's just have a few laughs, because especially those of us on the left. Let's be very honest. A lot of our shows are a little dour, right? It's a little, we're a little serious all the time. You're like, Trump, evil, end of world, lightning strike, yellow splash, and but you do have to kind of laugh. And the nice thing too is, I think Jared, you've talked about it, is. I've seen you talk about a lot, is bullies hate being laughed at, right? One of the most powerful tools in our toolbox is laughing at these clowns, isn't it?
Yeah, the problem though is that it's like the difference between laughing at and laughing with can be muddied, where a lot of people that watch things like the Colbert Report were the people that were being laughed at, but they interpreted that as, oh,
Right.
we're laughing together at this stuff. Randy Newman had that song Rednecks that he had written originally as a takedown of that culture, but then Rednecks were like, yeah, that's us. We love that. So it's difficult. That's like a difficult thing to try to do. But it is a valuable tool when it's wielded correctly.
I think that one of the biggest mistakes that the Harris campaign made was taking the foot off the gas of the idea of calling them weird, because that got to them so much. Because one thing that I found with the right is they love conformity. They love being, they think it's like being united, but really, like, they just don't want to step out of line. It's why they all have the same haircut, all wear the same dumb pants. Like it's why they see someone with purple hair as like, oh my God, that's the worst possible thing that could happen, because that person looks different than I think people should look. And
I don't know what you're talking about, Steve. Every time I look at these people on their social media avatars, they're all wearing very different wraparound sunglasses.
Yeah, that is
exactly.
True.
It's like that meme, though, right? The guys in your comments, right?
Yeah. Oh, they see the idea of only a few haircuts in North Korea, and they're like, no, that would actually save me time. I would like that.
Yeah, it does make a lot of sense when you do, and it's just bizarre sometimes. The I mean, again, I do live in Missouri, so I see it, I live it, I breathe it, and the signs, and sometimes you just have to laugh. I shouldn't give it away. My fiance got a sticker that says, it looks like a MAGA hat, but it says, "You're in a cult." and then she drove to like one of our more country towns to get some dog food yesterday and realized, oh, this is a bad idea. I'm like, girl, you're gonna get keyed. Okay, your car is gonna get keyed. She doesn't seem to care. And going back to the writing on your LinkedIn bio, you wrote the Kellyanne Conway technique. That was very successful. Tell us about the Kellyanne Conway technique, and then we'll have to get to the good stuff.
So when Trump got elected, there was this publishing company that was looking at books that were selling really well, and one of them was this dig at the left, saying it was like a book called like Every Good Idea That the Left Has Ever Had, and it was a book of blank pages. And so this
Right.
publishing company was like, we need something like that against the right. And so they reached out to me and they were like, would you like to write a book making fun of Kellyanne Conway? And at the time, I was filled with a lot of anxiety about the Trump administration. And so I was like, that sounds great. How much do I have to pay you to do that? And they were like, no, we're going to pay you. And I was like, that's insane. I'll take it, you know? And so then I spent like the next couple of months just really digging into all her interviews, and my drinking really spiked during that moment. And just trying to figure out like all the different mechanisms that she used in interviews to obfuscate the truth and could like spread misinformation. And so I outlined that as best as I possibly could, really using my bachelor's degree, really stretching it out as much as it could go, and tried to inject some humor into there as well. So yeah, and I'm pretty proud of the way that it came out. I think it's a pretty entertaining read.
Yeah, by the time it was done,
from her?
by the time it was done, Jarrett was just laying on the floor drunk with a manuscript and just a bunch of just the wall. It just kept saying all work and no truth make Jarrett a dull boy. It was a whole thing.
I told my editor, I was like, here's the book. Now kill me.
I'm done.
The best thing I found
after picture. That's the before and after picture, isn't it?
Yeah, the best thing I found during my research was that I could just get a transcription of it, so I didn't have to fucking listen to her the entire time. I was like, God damn, this has added 10 years to my life. Just being able to read this instead.
Well, that's the thing. It's like when you do this stuff for a living, like the clips, like my friends, I'm with Midas Touch, so we have Asen and those guys. And so I'll be sitting at the house, like I'm going to do a video about this, right? I'm going to do a quick little reel about this. And my fiance sits there and she's like, you've got to fucking turn that off. Because, you hear it, you got to listen like 5 times over and over. And like about 10 seconds, and she's like, I swear to Christ, you're going to die if you don't put your fucking AirPods in. I'm like, yes, ma'am. And I get it. Trump over and over, like, oh, I don't get it. It's like, the fucking, we digress. All right, well, there's a thing called panel picks we do, which none of them should surprise you. They might, I don't know. And so JJ is in charge of this. I'm supposed to shut up while JJ brings up the panel picks. Then you, gentlemen, will take turns. We'll go with youth first. Steve, no kidding. I don't know who's younger, to be honest. Bring him up, JJ. So here we go. You got there. You know how you did handle it, but how don't you? He did.
So I get, all right.
Steve, you're up. Steve, pick a bullet to talk about. Yes.
So, all right. I want to talk about Hegseth being a bad roommate.
Go for it. He really is. I think Jared, you said the other day, he really is that guy that doesn't pay the deposit back. He just shows up and
Trump said he's gonna get it together, guys.
He's gonna get it together, right? Like that
what
guy.
What the fuck, man? Are you kidding me? This dude is in charge of our military, and you're telling me he's gonna get it together like he's a bad roommate who just fucking is a couple months late with the rent? Like what? Exactly. You can't be serious here, man.
Stop drinking all the booze in the fridge. Jesus Christ, that wasn't just yours.
I think the worst part about Hegseth as a bad roommate is also that he then talks shit about his other roommates to them accidentally.
Right, not knowing he is like in the same, like he doesn't know what group chat you're supposed to be in, right?
Yeah,
it's like, you guys, my roommates are all such assholes. We're here. We're in the group chat with you.
Yeah, the
thing where when you're talking shit about somebody and you're like, oh no, they're right behind me. He does that, but he's facing the person that he is talking trash about.
Yeah, he is like, it is so wild, the idea of like he's gonna get it together. There are 7 billion other people that aren't in his job right now that maybe have it together more than he does. Some of those are toddlers.
Yeah, more skills than that. Exactly. That's exactly what it is. And, it is amazing. I'm a veteran, as you guys know, so I'm watching this thing unfold. And the thing, too, is these guys think that everybody's behind him because he's a bro and he's doing push-ups to everybody. And they're not, because real soldiers, real service members can see right through the bro bullshit, right? So it's like, okay, glad you're doing push-ups. It's not your job, man. It's not your job, So yeah, it's
he wasn't even a good weekend Fox News host.
That's right. I mean, exactly. He wasn't even good at that job, and they thought this would be an even better job for. Well, that's the thing. I mean, he never got promoted to day job. God, you remember him not washing his hands? I'm like, the fuck are you talking about? You don't wash your hands.
Yeah, well, I mean, clean hands, those are for betas.
That's another bad roommate thing, though, right? Like, he's the guy that leaves the toothpaste in the sink. And
have you been using my towel to clean your butt? Dude, come on, man. What the hell?
Stop shaving your nuts in the bathroom. Jesus, man.
This dude is going to fucking run away with America's security deposit at some point. I'm just so fucking
right there.
Ugh.
It's also weird. JJ, bring the picks back. Coughing. Oh, that's a new trick. All right, Jarrett, you're up.
All right, I'm going to pick JD killed the Pope.
Yes, he did. Go ahead. You have a theory?
I have a different theory about that. I think that he didn't kill the Pope, but the Pope knew that he was about to die. And the doctors were telling them, Your Holiness, you've only got a couple hours left. Who do you want to see? And the Pope was like, I want to see J.D. Vance because I have always wanted to tell someone, fuck you.
This is his last act.
I have a completely different theory.
All right, let's do it. This is what we're here for. This is controversy. This makes good Sunday viewing. Is like controversy in the panel, right?
I think it's a solid theory, but I think what happened was the Pope saw what J.D. Vance did to the Vatican couch, and he was like, I don't want to live here anymore. I'm done. I'm out.
I'm done. That's it. I'm tapped out. But look, he survived meeting Trump and Melania. So that was pretty good. If you remember that picture, it's like the poor guy, we put him through hell. I mean, honestly, he's probably relieved.
Every one of those meetings was just like another blocked artery in that poor old man's heart.
A micro stroke.
One little square left. One little pixel that blood could go through, and then J.D. Vance just plugged it up.
It's like the opposite of, an angel gets its wings. It's like every time you have to meet with a MAGA, an artery clogs.
That's a good theory. It does explain a lot of things. Again, living in Missouri, it does explain my healthcare. During the election, I literally fell down my steps. I was coming to do a studio shot with JJ, the producer, by the way, and I know shit headlong off the end of my steps, and that probably was an improvement in my attitude at that point. But yeah, it was. So I spent 3 weeks curling. And of course, I'm laying on the bottom of the steps. My fiance comes down, and I'm like, oh, I have to do the show.
No,
anyway,
wait, Fred, are you a physical manifestation for the American voter?
I am. I'm that guy. Don't think that wasn't missed in the conversation.
That is also what we did as a nation.
We did just headlong, and missed a couple steps. I mean, it is kind of a miracle. It must be hard headed, probably that old soldier thing. But yeah, that is really America right now, isn't it? I mean, you just kind of watch this whole. It is the 100 days, you guys. I mean, we talked a little bit. You saw Dr. Duo, who was a hoot, by the way. But it's just, and we got a lawyer following you guys. I really bracketed you well this week, you feel. All right, so I got a doctor who's a healthcare person, a lawyer. Be funny in between. Go.
But I gotta say, I mean, look, if we could be funny around a guy almost dying, I think we can handle it. But also, like, we just saw what happened in Australia as well. Trump keeps saying Pam Bondi said that Trump saved millions of lives, and it's like, Canadians and Australians apparently.
Yeah, exactly.
They voted that way, and now they're going to live.
I will. To my friends in Australia and Canada, I will never make fun of your accents ever again. I promise. I went to Australia once. I got into the cab. I told the cab driver where my hotel was, and he goes, "Oh, that's in the Bingy Bongy Bingy district." And I was like, "You just made that up, man. Those jokes are done. I'm done with those, man. You're the best."
I don't believe it. For a second. It's too easy.
I'm very excited for how they voted. I make no such promises.
There you go. Yeah. Thanks for that. I have a distant family in Canada, and they're just like, what the hell are you doing down there, man? I'm like, I don't know. Hey, you got room? You got just like a bedroom? No reason. But I did back surgery. I had back surgery before Christmas for the sole reason of maybe I have to run across the border. Who knows? It's good to be in shape. So now I can once again run across the border when needed. We all may. So we'll see.
By the way, Fred, apropos of nothing, this is completely unrelated to what you were just saying, but I don't know if you knew. There's a stretch in eastern Washington where the border is only separated by about a 1 foot median that you could kind of walk past. And that's completely unrelated. Anyway, what else is going on?
I'll be there in August, oddly. Going to see
Just to wrap-
Odessa.
Just to wrap things up with this whole J.D. Vance thing, you know that he believes that the real tragedy is that the Pope did not have his heart attack in America, so he got all of his medical treatment for free. He was just like, think of all the CEOs who could have bought boats based off of that guy's heart attack.
No.
In
The
the
real
criminal
tragedy. The real tragedy is J.D. Vance was upset that the Pope doesn't have any kids.
I don't know what to say to that. That's the slippery slope that gets us taken off of YouTube right there. That's how we end up off of YouTube right there. Bring the pics back, JJ, before we get blocked. Oh, here we go. All right. Well, we know how you handled an emergency. I'm picking one. Okay. How Jared, how would you not have handled it better? I mean, in an emergency, how not to handle emergency? This is a tough one, Jared. You gotta figure this one out.
Are we talking about general emergencies, or are we just talking about the specific emergency that we had at the show in
Let's
Denver?
go general. Let's expand your reach. Maybe your democracy's collapsing. I don't know. Pick an emergency.
Okay, I gotta say number one is just blame. You know, like that is just the absolute worst way to handle an emergency. You know, like say, you know, you got a kid standing in the middle of the streets, you got a car barreling towards that kid. Everybody's like, "Oh my God, that kid's about to get hit by that car," and you just stand there saying, "You know whose fault this is? It's the government. The government needs. If we didn't have stoplights, then the car would have passed already, and you know the kid would be completely safe right now."
You sound like a libertarian. Actually, that's actually libertarian reasoning right there. Actually,
exactly. The free market would have saved that kid.
Steve, you handled the last emergency. How would you handle emergency? Any kind of different one or differently? Wrong.
Well, I think I want to talk about that specific emergency. I think the wrong way to handle it would have immediately been looking at that guy who was completely unconscious and immobile and just tell him to pick himself up by his bootstraps. I think it's
it.
It's
ask for his insurance.
Yeah, exactly.
I can't believe you didn't ask for his insurance first. Like, hey, who are you on? Anthem? Which one do you go? Where should we cart you off to?
Come on, man. If you wanted to be alive, you would have. You really have to want it.
That's true. I mean, this is America. We're supposed to take care of ourselves. You know, they wouldn't want Obamacare and it kind of stuff. You know, it's funny.
Listen,
I think that's what made me liberal.
If that guy had died in a red state, then his mom could have gone to jail for having a miscarriage.
The dude was like 50.
There's no statute of limitations on that. There actually isn't. That's true.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean,
you could have done something to save that poor fetus's life.
Yes. Did you see the Onion came out with the article this morning signed by K, whatever her name is, in Alabama, that it's now law that women have to keep ejaculate on the small of their back for 9 months because it's life.
Oh my God.
And I don't know how the Onion, yeah, you know, and you're like, the Onion's definitely kind of got its mojo back. I was like, wow. I mean, it's not, you know, like, it's like, you know, that's all that is living beings. You're like, oh God. So it's,
they've been putting out bangers since, you know, the late 90s, man.
Yeah.
And they have not faltered. You know, they're an institution and I have nothing but respect for them.
Yeah. The Onion is absolutely fantastic. And, you know, I think that documentary filmmaking is not given enough credit, and that's basically what they've been doing in print.
Mm-hmm. For a long time, and stay relevant and all that. It's nice to see. It was nice to see them get the renewal with them getting bought and kind of renewing the whole focus on humor. So, all right, bring the panel back. We're getting there, man. Time flies in this show. All right, go ahead. I think this is actually one of your riffs. I think, Jared. I'm not sure if it was or not, but it was. Mm-hmm. It is funny to see him in an interview. That's where I got is like he has no idea what he's talking about. And I talked to, I think I talked to somebody last week about this. We had Lace Larrabee and Lysandra Vasquez on. It's like, I don't actually think he's in charge. I think it's like he seems surprised by everything that shows up in his face. What do you guys think? Is he doing his homework or not?
I mean, this has been my whole fucking thing about Trump ever since he came onto the scene, where I'm like, how can you not tell that this person is making this shit up as he goes along? If you walked into a used car dealership and this guy was talking like this, you would leave immediately because you're like, this guy is completely full of it, you know? And people talk about the political genius of Donald Trump all the fucking time. I'm like, he's lying. Like, it's easy when you are lying, you know? And I've always wanted to do this as an exercise, just like, give me anything to prove the way that Trump proves things, and I can do it, you know? Like, hey, what's your favorite Bible verse? Oh my God, they're all so good. And actually, it's
They're
very
right.
personal to me. I don't like to reveal that to people. Like, what the fuck? What are we doing here, guys?
I can't reveal my favorite Bible verse due to an ongoing lawsuit.
Yeah, exactly.
That's basically saying, yeah, exactly.
My Bible's getting audited right now.
Did you guys see the bit where that interview did the Terry Moran and asked about the Declaration of Independence? And he's like, "Oh yeah, it's unity and love." Like, the fuck you, and poor Terry couldn't keep his face. He's like, the Daily Show got him for it. It's like it just made it. He has no idea what he's talking about.
He put it up in his office. He put it up in his office. He could have looked at it.
Yeah, well, he thinks that's just a movie prop from Nicolas Cage.
The national treasure.
It's amazing he doesn't take it out and flip it over. Like, look at the map. The map's here. It's invisible
he hasn't talked about the president's book of secrets and how he's still looking for it.
That's a documentary. Nicolas Cage used to be a really big deal, and he's having a big comeback right now.
There's a treasure. I believe there's a national treasure. I think that as a nation, we are treasured.
We have a golden time.
Declaration of Independence. It was hanging in his office. He failed an open book exam. He could have looked at it.
Well, I mean, he could have looked at it, but that doesn't mean he could have read it.
That is an excellent point.
It's very scribbly. I mean, it looks like his handwriting. It does look like his signature. The whole damn thing is hard to read. I mean, I almost like give him that one. I've looked at that thing like, what the hell? Who reads this stuff? Yeah, and had to write it all. But can you imagine how much Thomas Jefferson's hand was cramping at some point? I mean, that was a big damn piece of paper. I give him credit for that at least.
Well, Ben Franklin's hand was cramping, but that was over something.
Yeah, the dude could not keep his hands to himself. He couldn't keep it off of his private parts. The dude liked to fuck. That's what I'm saying, guys. Did you know? Sorry, I read a Ben Franklin biography because I was fascinated by. I had heard that Ben Franklin liked to fuck, and I was like, I want to read more about this. I want to find out more about this guy. But what I found so fascinating was this trip that he took over there with John Adams and Thomas Jefferson to go over to France to try to get all the money from France. And John Adams was pissed because he was the only one working. Because Thomas Jefferson was just getting drunk, and Ben Franklin was just having sex with prostitutes over there. I just love thinking about a cranky John Adams being like, "I'm the only one who's taking this seriously."
It's a group project, and it's your class. It's like our youth correspondent beginning. We did like 3 weeks ago. We talked about how this is like the group project administration. Like, there's always those one guys just fucking off, playing golf or getting drunk. So it is. I guess there's a historic precedent for this bad group project that is our government today. It makes sense.
But any group project now can just lean into AI, or as Linda McMahon calls it, A1.
A1, yes. I do
get you here, A1. And to get you right here. There's a extremely old reference for all the millennials on there.
Yes, bringing it back. Got the youth team here, you guys, you young men. So, well, I guess the most important thing is we're getting nearer. Now Tracy's got to come talk lawyer. Sorry, Tracy, you're screwed. She's gonna have to be. I gotta take this seriously, gentlemen. Where we find you, other than Eugene, Oregon, or wherever you may be, tell us about the tour. Where can our folks hunt you down?
A whole bunch of shows coming up. Some of the bigger ones are Salem, Oregon, Albuquerque, New Mexico, and a bunch more. But it's over 100 cities. You can check it out on my website, stevehofstetter.com. That's on the screen conveniently. And just at Steve Hofstetter on all social media. And also, I just got on Substack a couple weeks ago. I've been really enjoying it. So all you Substack people, come and follow mine.
I love it. That's how I booked you, if you remember. You had a live with our previous guest, Eliza, said, you should come on my show. And here we are. So Substackers, Substack is power. So get on Substack. So go ahead, Jarrett. Where do they find you?
I also just joined Substack, so give me a follow. Everything that you want to check out about me, you can find on my website, jarrettberenstein.com, my tour dates, and my live streaming schedule. I have a daily live stream called Ask Me Anything About Politics that I stream on Twitch, YouTube, and TikTok. And, part of it is talking about what's going on in politics today, but part of it is, we throw these words around in conversation, and these three-letter agencies: reconciliation, continuing resolution, filibuster, USAID, and then we just refer to these politicians by their last names. Like, if you don't know who Patel is or Bondi is or anything like that, like, it can be really difficult to start getting into politics and learning about this stuff. So this is a space where there's no such thing as a dumb question, and if you're somebody on the right who you just want to know, like, why Democrats are the way they are, like, I'm not going to throw any shade at you. It's not one of those shows where I just get on there and yell at you about how dumb your beliefs are or anything like that. I will engage, and I will teach, and I'm there for your questions.
I love it. What a great place to wind up this conversation. Gentlemen, I can't thank you enough. Being on tour and then getting up on a Sunday morning to talk to me, and you're on the West Coast, so it's like 8 a.m. I appreciate you so much. So thanks for taking time, Steve. Thanks for jumping on some stranger on Substack saying, come on my show. Oh, be funny. Sunday morning, 8 a.m. Be funny.
Well, thanks for having me on. My dog's been here the whole time. He said,
oh, the star of the show, whom we've met on the, I can't believe the show. This is a dog-friendly show. I can't believe you didn't do that.
It's really awkward because Daubert's a centrist, and so he doesn't care for all these progressive jokes that we're making.
Yes. He named Robert, but Daubert is the star of the show. So go see him, you guys. I saw him just last week in St. Louis. It was hilarious. We were giggling the whole way home. We appreciate you. Thanks for taking time. Honestly, kidding aside. Thanks. Keep doing what you're doing. We're back in the fight.
Thanks for having us, man.
Bye, everybody. Thanks for watching, everyone.
Take care.
Cheers. All right, so let's shift gears. Poor Tracy. We're back in the the chat. There's a private chat in the studio green room, and I can see Tracy, our next guest, behind us, going, "Come on, man, why are you doing this to me?" But that's how the show is. You don't know what you're getting, and she has no idea she got into this. She's like, "I don't know who signed me up for this shit," but here I am. So let's not waste any more time. We got a great interview with Tracy Fightlove. She is Lawyers for Good Government. Tracy joined the show officially since you've been sitting back there watching this insanity.
No, I'm mostly just worried I will not be funny enough for this crowd, but I will do my best to keep up.
No pressure at all, because I'm not naturally funny. I'm just this guy. So, man, you welcome to the show. Glad to have you. So, tell us a little bit about your organization. First of all, I can start there. Lawyers for Good Government.
So we started out, in fact, November 9th, 2016, which was not a coincidence. I put a post
That's weird. I wonder what happened.
I know. Random date. Put a post up on Facebook, literally just said, hey, any other lawyers in my network who are really concerned about this and might want to talk? And I thought, 10, 15 lawyers who I knew, maybe I went to law school with, we're going to have a conversation. Instead, 125,000 lawyers, that's about 10% of all lawyers in the country, joined this Facebook group that I ended up creating. And that was the very beginning of Lawyers for Good Government. So from then on and ever since, it's been our mission to figure out how to mobilize so many lawyers, tens of thousands of lawyers across the country, in ways that actually make a difference and have an impact. And that's what we have made it our mission to do for the past almost 9 years now. I can't believe it.
Wow. I mean, there's a lot of it. I mean, and in every administration, there's things we got to fight for as far as better government, especially the legal side. But my God, we were talking about it's the 100th day. I'm sure you caught it earlier that we're 100 days into the second 100 days, I guess, of Trump. I've been asked a lot of guests. I think we asked Dr. Dewar the same thing. Is there anything that really surprised you in this first 100 days? I mean, I'm sure you studied Project 2025. You've heard Russell Vaught. We knew there was going to be fights with the judicial system, but is there anything that's actually just kind of like, oh shit, I did not see that coming?
Absolutely. The direct and individual attacks on specific law firms was something that I didn't predict. I don't think any of us predicted that. Yeah. The relentless attacks on judges, on universities, the extent to which it has so quickly become this authoritarian model of go after any of the institutions that might have any power whatsoever to challenge the actions of this administration. That's been truly shocking for a lot of us.
Yeah, and it's unbelievable. And I suppose the next piece of that is shock that someone gave in the way they did, right? I mean, to see Perkins Coie and others, I mean, they got wrecked. And we finally won a case on this case this week, right, with judges. And he kind of raged on the Trump administration for what they're doing to these lawyers, didn't he? I mean, does it shock you as an attorney, a professional in this world, to see some of your peers just say, we'll do, $45 million or pro bono? I mean, some of the agreements are shocking to me. It's like, it's insanity, isn't it?
It is shocking. I mean, my personal focus is that these firms should never have been put in this position in the first
Right.
place. I
Yeah,
really
fair.
think it's important. All of us need to focus on the actual illegal, unconstitutional behavior that's happening here. But yeah, I mean, it was really reassuring to see Judge Howell's decision, coming out, not just saying that this executive order cannot stand, but also expressing, I think, what so many of us in the legal profession felt, which is that this is completely insane. I mean, it's out of the realm. The judge actually says in the beginning of the decision, we've never seen anything like this. I think it says something like, we've never seen an administration issue these types of executive actions, executive orders against individual law firms. It is so blatantly unconstitutional and illegal that it was shocking to all of us, and then reassuring to see this decision come out so quickly, and putting a stop to it. The first order that permanently closed the books on this executive order against Perkins Coie. So that was very reassuring.
Yeah, and I said they can walk away. I mean, it is like an all-out. I mean, I think we knew coming in that part of the effort this time around is recognition that the courts and judicial system are the key impediments to his malign plans, right? I mean, I think we knew that from the beginning. They knew that this time. They came in with a plan. How do you think the fight is going? I mean, these two branches, we have two major branches of the government fighting. Supreme Court didn't do themselves any favors going into this, but we do see a real fight going on, and people keep calling it a constitutional crisis and all. I feel like it is, especially. I mean, what do you think? I mean, how is the fight between these two branches of government going so in your eyes?
I wish the third branch would jump in.
Yeah, well, there's that, right?
And
it's funny I didn't mention
some
that.
Of their
Right?
power.
Article 1. Weird how they love the Constitution. Can't seem to read it. Kind of like Donald Trump's Declaration of Independence. He hasn't really read it.
That's right. No, there's no reading of anything by most people in this administration. At least not the ones who speak out the most vocally and the most often. But I mean, how it's going so far is, thankfully, to this point, for the most part, the courts seem to be doing their jobs, which is to rule in accordance with the law, to uphold and defend the Constitution. And the administration seems dead set on scrapping the Constitution, disregarding it, pretending it's not there, pretending it says things it doesn't say. One of your previous guests was talking about how frequently the administration lies. That's also happening here. We're just all hoping that the courts will continue to do their jobs, including, it doesn't matter who the judge was appointed by. We need to see judges across political lines, forgetting partisanship, and just understanding that this is an all-out war for the soul of our country. That is really what it comes down to. If we're going to get to a spot where we say the courts don't have authority to interpret the law, and that the executive branch has no obligation to follow what the courts say, then it's over. I mean, at that point, I think it's safe to say the democracy, the rule of law, it's done, and we've moved on to being a completely different kind of country that I don't think most of us want to live in.
No, and it's terrifying. For me, one of my big passions, the fight that gets me angriest, to be honest with you, isn't just the attacks on I'm a veteran, so the veterans community and all that bothers me, but this due process. I've made a joke, it's a terrible joke, which is due process is so important, they put it in twice. There's two whole ass amendments that mention due process and how important it is, right? I mean, it must be important. They keep mentioning it. And I think just this morning he was on NBC and said, he doesn't think people, criminals don't deserve due process. Like, well, how the fuck do you know if they're a criminal, right?
Exactly.
I mean, that's literally the whole point, right? I mean, then that just means you're defining who's a criminal. And then shit gets ugly fast, doesn't it?
It sure does. And I'm so tired of the administration acting like the rule of law or due process is such a complicated idea. And they think they can twist it and say, oh, so you support the bad guys? That's what you're about? You're about supporting bad guys? No, it's actually not that complicated. And this is one of the things I said earlier this week at our Law Day event, is that the rule of law, due process, these are so simple that actually little children understand these concepts intuitively. Imagine what a kid would say if their parents said, that's it, you're accused, you're punished, go to bed without supper, no opportunity to defend yourself. The kid gets to say nothing. What would the kid say? I mean, this kid would say, no fair, this is outrageous, this is ridiculous, because that kid understands that this is not fundamentally fair. And that's the thing. As the kid gets older, he will constantly be told, well, life isn't fair. And that's true. Life isn't fair, but government should be. That's what the rule of law is meant to ensure. That's what due process is supposed to be for. It's not actually complicated.
It isn't complicated, although they're very good at making it complicated. Obviously, even Stephen Miller, as we like to call him, Pee Wee German, Timu Nosferatu, whatever you want to go with.
So many options.
So many options. But even Stephen Miller has been saying that well, the January 6ers didn't get due process, and it makes my hair is getting grayer by the minute, but it makes my hair go grayer faster to think that these people who had entire the cases behind, of course they had due process, otherwise we wouldn't be where we are. And then in the end they got pardons, didn't they?
I still can't believe that. The party that's supposed to be supporting law enforcement says, no, it's fine that you violently attack law enforcement officers. You're part of it.
And another aspect of this one has been the attack on the universities, and it goes hat in hand and part and parcel with the attacks on law firms in a different way though. I mean, they're truly trying to control free speech. They're trying to just dictate to these universities what they can talk about, how they should be handling free speech on their campus. They're using the excuse of anti-Semitism. You and I both know that's not the truth. The truth is that Barron got rejected by Harvard, and he's mad about that. And Malia Obama did not get rejected by Harvard and graduated just fine. I mean, I think you're a Harvard grad too. Second mention, one show. We're really doing well. That's a thing here. By the way, just it's good to see somebody fighting back. Thank you, JJ. We do clapping every time I mention Harvard now, which is a bit we're doing now. We have bits. It's back to the topic at hand, whichever it was. I don't remember. It's good to see somebody fighting back, though. I mean, do you see hope in the fact they're building? I mean, they've got strong cases, don't they?
Yes. I mean, if the law means anything anymore,
well,
Harvard should
in
win.
a normal world, sorry about that. If we lived in a normal fucking country, they'd have a strong case, right?
Exactly. No, yes, I will admit it was extremely, extremely encouraging. Really lifted my spirits seeing that Harvard was going to fight back, not just for the universities, but honestly for every nonprofit right now that's trying to do good work and is rightfully terrified about these threats that are being made against tax-exempt status. So when you see possibly one of the wealthiest 501c3 organizations in the country having their tax status attacked, and knowing that they're going to use their resources to fight back, it was really heartwarming. And I think it gives a lot of us courage. And I think courage is of critical importance right now for all of us. When you're living in an environment that is designed to create fear and to use that fear to coerce everyone into submission, the more we can be reminded that it is possible to fight back, that when you fight back, you can win. I think that's so important right now. So I was very glad to see that Harvard was pushing back.
Yeah, I agree, and you couldn't. I wish I could have said it better, frankly. You're exactly right. A lot of nonprofits are scared right now. I work in that sector quite a bit. A lot of the veterans organizations I used to work with before, who have been known for opposing this administration, and even the big ones, the big six who do it for a living, are nervous about being attacked. Forget about the political organizations like my organization, Vote Vets, that I work with. I mean, these guys are very nervous. You're right. There's none of them have an endowment to the tune of.
That's right.
Almost $1 billion that can hire, and a place called Harvard Law School with a bunch of lawyers and shit who could fight back. So I guess there's some superpowers there, and I know you're great. So you mentioned it briefly. I want to get to it before we get to the end of our time. National Law Day of Action. You had a huge turnout, didn't you? It was on May 1st. Tell us, we love some protests around here these days. We participated in a couple. Tell us about National Law Day of Action, what you were planning, what happened, and what's next.
Yeah. Well, the first thing I'll say is it is not a normal thing to see thousands of lawyers take to the streets. We're not exactly known for being radicals or protesters. So when you see 10,000 lawyers, which is what the attendance looked like for Law Day of Action, coming out again into the streets, holding signs, raising their right hand, publicly retaking our oaths of office to support and defend the Constitution. Something has gone horribly wrong if the lawyers have resorted to protesting in the streets.
Right.
But that's where we are, because so many of us saw, again, it's not just about policy or politics. It's about the entire fundamental premise of our country, which is that we are a nation of laws, not of men, meaning everyone is meant to follow the law. The Supreme Court ultimately has the authority to say what that law is. The other branches are required to follow. And so we decided we needed to push back. Lawyers for Good Government, which is the organization I run, partnered with Bar Association of San Francisco and dozens of other organizations across the country, including many bar associations. I think we ended up having events in more than 45 cities. The event that we led in DC in front of the Supreme Court had more than 600 lawyers and supporters present. present. We heard from not only myself and some of the other leaders in our space, but also from electeds like Representative Jamie Raskin, who spoke, Mary Gay Scanlon. And by the way, we invited every single member of Congress who has a law degree, regardless of party affiliation, to attend this event and reaffirm their commitment to the rule of law. Unsurprisingly, It was only a few Democratic electeds who showed up. We were thrilled to have them. I know. But it's really a shame because the whole premise and the entire premise of this event was to say, we will defend the Constitution because that is what we swore to do. And what is the point of an oath if you're not going to stand by it when it counts? Right? When it's hard is exactly when it matters. So I'm really proud of every single attorney who showed up, every single supporter who showed up. And looking out, I got to say, from the podium at this crowd of attorneys and supporters, everyone raised, I mean, it was really moving. And I think it says a lot about where the legal profession stands for the most part right now in this country, which is firmly on the side of due process, rule of law, and a fair legal system. That's what we want.
That's a perfect place for us to get right to our time. So, I mean, that's it for me as well. Is that this is the kind of thing we don't recover from? Is that when due process, the rule of law is no longer what guides our principles and guides our nation as a society and a culture. There's the joke. There's always the meme like we live in a society. It's like that shit goes out the window fast when we can't even follow the most basic laws and respect the courts. So, well, I love the work you're doing. Where can people find out more about your work and hunt you down?
So our website, lawyersforgoodgovernment.org. And if you're looking for specific next steps, L4GG, which is letter L, number 4, gg.org/law day. We have some very specific things you can do there, including subscribing to our impact docket. A newsletter comes out every 2 weeks with individual actions you can take in defense of the rule of law and our country. So I hope to see many of you sign up there and join us. You can also follow us on Facebook and Blue Sky.
Perfect. That was it. You're a pro. It's like you do this for a living or something. Like you're a lawyer. You get up in court and make your. See, you did good. You followed up great. You did great compared to those two comedians. So thanks. You pulled it off, Tracy. Thanks for joining us on a Sunday. Thanks for joining us your Sunday morning. I hope your family's well, and we will see you again. I'll drag your ass back here again. I promise.
Perfect. Thanks so much for having me.
See you soon. I don't envy the folks at the file of the panel. I really don't. It's like we put the lawyer last for a reason. She can fight back. Worked out pretty well. What a great concept. Again, you hear it, folks. It matters to stand up. It matters to stand up for the rule of law. It matters for us to get in the fight. And if lawyers who are have been accused of being hidebound in their lives, we all know that. If the lawyers are stepping up, then we need to be stepping up too. And there's so many opportunities. I will talk about a couple of those. Of course, you guys might know. I think I'm surprising JJ, but it's okay. I want to talk about Unite for Veterans and Unite for America. Obviously, this is something I'm very proud to be a part of. We are gathering in Washington, D.C. on June 6th at 2 in the afternoon. You can sign up at Unite for, that's a number 4, veterans.org. It's Unite, number 4, veterans.org. We are gathering on the National Mall, walking in the footsteps of the Bonus Army that gathered there in 1932, walking in the footsteps of the Vietnam veterans who gathered there to protest for their health care, gathering for the PACT Act veterans who gathered to get the PACT Act passed. We'll be there to let our government know that veterans aren't going to sit quietly while our benefits and our earned benefits are stripped from us, while our fellow veterans are fired without any kind of due course, and while our Constitution that we swore an oath to is dismantled. So I hope you'll join us in Washington, D.C. We'll have announcements about perhaps remote site ones. We'll work with other partners. But right now, if you go to Unite, number 4, veterans.org, you can find out more information. You can sign up. And then we announced this week that Dropkick Murphys, the band Dropkick Murphys, Celtic punk band out of Boston, you guys know them because they've been beaten up by MAGAs and their audience is giving them a hard time and being very passionate about our democracy. Dropkick Murphys has agreed to come and they're going to perform for us on the National Mall for free. So be there with us and Dropkick Murphys. Clearly it's gonna be a high energy day because we got cool people coming. But I did want to get back to May the 4th. And I gotta tell stories because this is my one Star Wars story. If you've followed me for years, you've heard it before. I apologize. I've written on my Substack, fpwellman.substack.com. I've written about it there on Substack. If you could tell about it. But the truth is my big Star Wars thing was I was working with the Lincoln Project 5 years ago, right about coming up on 5 years in October, as a matter of fact. We were in Park City, Utah, and just days before the election, I got the idea that I was bored. I wanted to do something. So I got permission from the leadership and said, hey, can I do an ad about absentee votes? If you may know your history, absentee ballots, absentee voting came from the military. It actually started in 1864. In 1864, when Abraham Lincoln was running for re-election, they wanted to make sure our Union soldiers on the front lines could vote. So they came up with the idea of absentee voting. That's where it started. So when you talk about getting rid of absentee ballots, which they're talking about right now, again, this is how stupid it is. This has been 5 years, and we're still talking about the idea. Somebody just yesterday proposed a law to say only votes that come in the day of the election count. Well, look, if you're overseas in a tough place, the mail takes forever. They're dismantling the postal service. It's going to mean that people do not get vote, and those people are our service members. So I got the idea to do an ad. Mind you, I've never done a lot of ads, but if you work with Rick Wilson's technique for everything is to throw you in the deep end and see if you drown. So I got the idea, so let's get hold of a celebrity. And my son, who was working with me at the time, we went through all the celebrity veterans we could think of. And finally he said, hey, you should call Mark Hamill. He follows you on Twitter. I'm like, yeah, but Mark says no DMs. Like, you're not supposed to DM Mark. He's very private. So I'm like, all right, can't do that. Well, I wrote him. This is what I do. I wrote him. I sent an email to his agent. 10:30 at night, my son's pounding on my door. He says, he's in, Mark Hamill's in. And believe it or not, Mark Hamill and his lovely wife, Mary Lou, agreed to do an ad the weekend before the election with me. And then I had the task of writing an ad for Mark Hamill. And so I did it. I stayed up all night, wrote an ad. There's some tweaks to it with my great colleagues, the Lincoln Project. And then I sent it to him. He called. I told the story to JJ in the pre-show about how he called me while we were out riding horses one day. I almost peed myself to hear Mark Hamill on my phone ask questions. And we produced this ad. Now, the funny thing with this ad is when you look at it is Mark shot this from home on his couch. There's just a black curtain behind him. And the video wasn't great. This is the middle of the pandemic, y'all. And we got this ad, but the ad and the words I wrote came through. And honestly, there's something cool about when you get an email at about 11 o'clock at night. I was Halloween of all things. And I click on the link and it's the full audio of Mark reading the ad. And you hear your words coming out of Luke Skywalker's mouth. It was pretty cool. I think we could show the ad. I think you got the ad teed up. This is an ad I produced. I actually wrote it and produced it 5 years ago with Mark Hamill for May the 4th. Let's show the ad.
The signing of the Declaration of Independence.
Okay, no worries. It's live. We can handle it. So the Lincoln Project ran this just days before, and we ran this one, and it did pretty well. So I think you can go now, JJ. You have a backup plan, right? Go, JJ. I'll get out of your way.
Tyranny didn't end with the American Revolution. Not for everyone. Not by a long shot. Nearly 100 years of elected leadership failed to right that wrong, and Americans went to war with ourselves to fix it. Never before had the truth been so clear. Elections have consequences. It was for this reason that Union soldiers who lived and died by those consequences were able to vote despite being far from home. This was how absentee voting began. Sent from the bloody battlefields across the nation. Now, more than 150 years later, tyranny is looking for a new foothold. President Trump has called for the election to be decided on, and only on, those ballots that arrive by November 3rd. If he gets his way, many who cast absentee ballots will not have their vote counted. This will deny thousands of troops serving overseas of their most sacred right, stripping the men and women in our military of the very freedoms they've served and sacrificed to defend. It cannot be allowed to happen. Donald Trump doesn't get to decide the future of America's leadership. The American people do. Make every vote count. And count every vote. The Lincoln Project is responsible for the content of this advertising.
Yeah, that was kind of cool, right? I think it kind of still gets me, and that last part was the part I fought over the most. As you make it count and count every vote. And is it sad that 5 years later, we're still having the same issue? That here we are 5 years later having the same conversation about what's right and what's wrong, and counting every vote and why it matters. And I was just so proud to work with that. I bring it every May 4th. You guys have to suffer through it every May 4th when we do this. We'll have to get Mark on the show. I'll beg and plead and get him on the show. It was really, really fun. So I really appreciate it. That's my brush with greatness. I've done a couple of things with Mark since. You guys, I actually hosted a town hall with him for a friend. I mean, he is an amazing and great American. And it is Star Wars Day, May 4th. I'll go back to my regular art. Maybe this is my stuff that's hidden down here in my studio. I really am proud to be with you guys. We're still back in the fight. We're still here, fighting for the same issues. It's so good to see all of you. This is the big pitch. We go at the end here. We'd love to have. This is our biggest audience yet, I think. Congratulations, everybody. I think this is our largest audience yet. Yeah, both on Substack and on every other channel. That's amazing. I would love for you to go over and like this and watch us on YouTube, especially to help juice up that algorithm a little bit and watch the show there. Obviously, I'd love to have you join our Substack. The Substack is growing fast, one of the fastest growing Substacks in the country right now. Talking about politics, talking about get a couple laughs in there too. That's fpwellman.substack.com. There's a number of us watching here. You can catch all the shows, all the videos. We do it all on Substack. I'd love to see you there as well. And the most important thing, we're here, Too Late to Cancel, every Sunday morning at 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific, with more laughs, more great folks that you may or may not have heard of before. In the end, hopefully you learned something. You spent some great time with us. I really appreciate it. Thank you for the compliments in the ad. I was real proud of that work. Some of my best work I've done in years. And with that note, okay, and JJ is working on the Discord, okay? So you guys know. I did see one other question, JJ, before we go too. I saw one of you wonderful folks mention you haven't been seeing on Midas Touch. I am still on Midas Touch every Friday at 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific. You can see On Democracy with FP Wellman, our original OG podcast. That show is actually exclusive to Midas now since we decided to kind of do this and that. So if you tune in, you can still catch the original. This week was a fantastic show. I had a guy named Ahmed Baba. Ahmed's a brilliant man. We had a great discussion about Trump's 100 days. So if you haven't caught it yet, definitely catch On Democracy FP Wellman every Friday night at 11 p.m. Eastern, right on the Midas Touch Network, the fastest growing pro-democracy network in the world, 4.8 million subscribers, and me doing a show on there is about a dozen of us contributors. So I am still on Midas Touch. I just mostly do a lot of my work now on Substack and here on the On Democracy channel. But of course, I'm a proud part of the Midas Mighty, and you can always find my shows there every Friday at 11. And now they're all there. They're all categories. If you go under podcasts on Midas Touch channel, On Democracy is right there. Click, you'll see 2 years, you guys, 2 years of shows. We've had over 200 interviews. I mean, it's incredible. So proud to be with you guys here. Thank you to JJ, the producer. Thanks to Katie, the producer, who came from a party yesterday, and she's still here rocking Sunday morning. It's amazing. We are very, very fortunate to have such an amazing team, but more fortunate to have all of you right here as part of our family. Thank you for being part of the Too Late to Cancel family. Thank you so many of you. Every Friday, we'll be here every Sunday. I did it again, TJ. Every Sunday, I did it again. Holy shit balls. JJ is yelling in my ear. Every Sunday, 11 a.m. Mark your damn calendar, people. Mark your calendar. Be here. We'll see you. Get going. Have a great Mother's Day next week. We'll be here for that. Make sure you take care of mom while you watch us or before you watch us. Either way, we'll be here watching, hanging out with you. In the meantime, hey guys, keep up the fight. We'll see you here again next week.